Welcome back to the Explainer Focus Learners. Today, we're unpacking a fascinating, doctor-approved roadmap to slowing down both your physical and mental aging process. If you've ever felt frustrated that despite all those expensive creams and late-night internet rabbit holes, you still feel like you're aging faster than you should be, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to look at the daily, everyday habits that quietly dictate exactly how we age. So, I want you to ask yourself a question. Are your daily hygiene habits actually making you age faster? I know, it sounds totally backward, right? We wash, we brush, we scrub, all with this goal of staying youthful and clean. But what if the very routines you rely on every single morning are secretly accelerating the clock? Today, we're diving into the hard science behind what actually works. Here's a quick look at our agenda for this explainer. We'll be covering secrets to younger hair, hair drying and diet, stopping the aging odor, the subtraction makeup method, and finally, mindset and morning routines. Consider this your clear, step-by-step roadmap to physical rejuvenation. Section 1. Secrets to younger hair, defying aging visibly. Okay, let's jump right in. Hair is one of the most visible markers of age out there, and unlike a tiny skin blemish, it is incredibly difficult to just cover up thinning hair or a loss of volume. But the good news here is that daily care makes a massive difference. So, let's kick things off by debunking a huge myth, the idea that brushing makes your hair fall out. A lot of people notice hair in their brush and they just panic, terrified they're accelerating their own hair loss. But avoiding the brush is actually the absolute worst thing you can do. Without that mechanical stimulation, your scalp stiffens, circulation drops, and you literally starve your hair cells of the vital blood flow they need to grow. What's really interesting to think about here is the actual life cycle of your hair. It goes through 3 distinct phases. First, there's the growth phase, where the hair actively lengthens. Then comes the regression phase, where that growth starts to slow down. And finally, the resting phase, where the hair detaches and naturally falls out to make room for brand new growth. The crucial takeaway? The hair you're losing during brushing is already in that resting phase. It was literally meant to fall out anyway. So whatever you do, don't fear the brush. The actionable fix is simple. Brush 3 times a day. Specifically, in the morning to style, right before you shampoo to lift dirt and sebum, and then right before bed as a nice scalp massage. You want to use gentle pressure to really stimulate those blood vessels. But a quick warning on this, only do this on dry hair. Wet hair has open cuticles and is super prone to friction damage, which leads straight to snapping and frizz. Next up is washing frequency. If you're over 40, washing your hair every single day might be actively destroying your scalp health. Daily washing strips away essential moisture, which can actually cause dry scalp, itchiness, and even dandruff. Unless you're a young adult with really high oil production, or you've been heavily sweating, washing every 2 days is basically the medically backed sweet spot. It perfectly maintains your healthy sebum and natural scalp moisture. Section 2. Hair drying and diet, inside and out care. Now, how you treat your hair after stepping out of the shower is just as critical as what you do inside it. So let's talk about handling wet hair. First off, never, ever rub your hair vigorously with a towel. Wet cuticles are incredibly fragile. Instead, just press it dry gently. Next, when you reach for that hair dryer, hold it about 20 centimeters away and focus on the roots first to build volume. And here's the absolute game changer. Finish with cold air. Your hair cuticles are kind of like tiny scales. Heat opens them up, but a quick blast of cold air snaps them shut, locking in moisture and giving you that brilliant youthful shine. But we can't just talk about the outside. We really have to look at the inside too. There are specific hair-thinning foods you absolutely must avoid. Processed foods, refined sugars, and fried foods. Why? Well, your scalp relies on microscopic capillaries to deliver nutrients. These foods literally thicken your blood and disrupt your gut environment. And if your blood is thick and sludgy, it simply cannot reach the very top of your head. That starves your hair follicles and leads straight to thinning hair. And here is a pretty wild fact about gray hair. We all slather sunscreen on our faces, but we almost always forget our scalps. UV rays penetrate the scalp and actively destroy the melanocytes. Those are the specific cells responsible for producing melanin, which is the pigment that gives your hair its dark color. A lack of sun protection is a leading, completely preventable cause of gray hair. So grab a hat or use a UV protection spray designed specifically for the scalp. Section 3. Stopping the aging odor, tackling curatio safely. We're moving on to a slightly sensitive but entirely universal topic, Aging body odor. In Japan, it's known as karishu. It's something that happens to almost everyone, but very few people know how to actually treat it scientifically. The culprit behind this is a specific compound called nonanol. Here's what happens. Around the age of 40, our hormone balances shift. In women, the female hormones that usually suppress excess sebum begin to drop, allowing male hormones to take over and increase oil production. When that sebum oxidizes on the skin, it creates nonanol. And because this happens heavily on the scalp and the back of the neck, areas we can't easily smell on ourselves, a lot of people have absolutely no idea it's even happening to them.
So how do we fix it? First, diet plays a huge role here. Eating antioxidant-rich condiments like wasabi and ginger actually helps prevent the oxidation of fats in your body. Second, when you wash, do not scrub your skin aggressively. If you scrub away all your oil, your body panics and produces even more sebum to compensate, making the smell worse. Just wash gently with foam. And finally, deliberately sweat more through exercise or saunas. If you don't sweat regularly, your sweat glands become clogged with waste, which bacteria love to feed on. Sweating naturally flushes the whole system clean.
Section 4. The subtraction makeup method. Proving less is definitely more. As our skin changes with age, losing moisture, thinning out, and even shifting in bone structure, our makeup routines have to evolve too. The difference between addition makeup and subtraction makeup perfectly highlights the biggest mistake older adults make. When we see a flaw, our instinct is to add heavy foundation, thick concealer, but on mature, drier skin, thick makeup cracks, settles into wrinkles, and actually highlights your age. Instead, try the subtraction method. Focus heavily on a deeply moisturizing base. Use only a paper-thin layer of liquid concealer, and opt for natural coral lip colors that blend beautifully with the skin, rather than harsh, bright colors. Don't try to hide everything. Just aim for a natural, hydrated glow. Section 5. Mindset and morning routines. Starting your day right. We've talked a lot about physical habits, but the way you start your day and manage your mental load has a profound, measurable biological impact on exactly how fast you age. And you don't need a grueling 2-hour morning boot camp to get it right. Try this simple 1-minute routine. Open your curtains immediately to get sunlight. This suppresses melatonin and perfectly resets your body's biological clock. Drink 1 glass of water to wake up your gastrointestinal tract, and take 3 deep breaths to stabilize your autonomic nervous system. It literally takes 60 seconds, but it primes your entire biology for a youthful, energetic day. Now, what's really fascinating about having a routine like this is that it acts as a daily early diagnostic tool. Aging doesn't happen overnight. It happens in tiny microscopic increments. If you drink a glass of water every single morning and one day you suddenly find it hard to swallow or it makes you feel slightly nauseous, you instantly know your stomach is fatigued. You only notice that subtle change because you have a consistent baseline routine to compare it against. And look, we just cannot talk about anti-aging without talking about stress. Stress physically constricts your blood vessels, which, as we learned earlier, literally starves your scalp and skin of essential nutrients. When you feel overwhelmed by the uncontrollable, whether that's global events or just the natural passage of time, take a piece of paper and physically write down your anxieties. Categorize them into what you can control and what you can't. Writing it down removes that heavy mental load from your brain and physically lowers your body's stress response. Which brings us to our final thought from the source material. Accepting aging is the ultimate anti-aging. It's a pretty powerful paradox, isn't it? We can brush our hair properly, optimize our diets, and tweak our makeup all we want, but fighting the inevitable passing of time with anxiety? That only accelerates the clock. Accept the natural changes with grace. That lack of stress is the true secret to a youthful glow. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. What is one unnecessary stressor you can subtract from your routine tomorrow morning to start aging backward? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, Focus Learners, and I'll catch you in the next one.